Welcome to Austin Star Money, Business, and You. Today I have business growth coach and business coach Dag Nybo with me here today. And Dag's going to tell us how do business coaches help you grow your business?
Excellent. Well, first of all, Mike, thanks for having me here.
Oh, my pleasure.
And so business coaches are, or the term is fairly generic, and a lot of people think it means a lot of things. They think of a football coach, they think of a tennis coach, they think of somebody that will do something for you. A business coach is not like a consultant, and what a business coach does is he or she sits behind you and helps you develop behaviors that will help you be successful.
Excellent.
So a business coach is usually a person that asks a lot of questions.
Okay.
A business coach is usually someone that has an idea of how to help you through a business process. And a business coach will take you from point A, where you are doing something in a certain way in your business, to point B, where you're doing it probably more successfully.
Excellent.
What does a person usually hire a business coach for? Well, they usually hire them for, I'm going to stand up for it because I'm a big writer.
Oh, right. Let's do that.
Okay. So most people hire business coaches because they feel ineffective.
Okay.
I'm going to write that here. Unfocused. And poor. And I'm going to use the word poor, not in the strictest sense, but poor because they feel they could make more money.
So in a business sense, you're using the word poor.
I was thinking of a better word, but I didn't have one, so we'll have to stick with poor.
Okay, sounds good.
So let me give you an example. You have a business, and you've been doing it for 20 years, and this is a generic Mike, and you're doing it a certain way, and you're making a certain amount of money, but you're fairly sure that you could make more. Okay? And you know that other people with the same number of clients make more. So what do? You try to find the solution. A business coach usually can step you through a process, and what that process does is he asks you a lot of questions about your sales, your marketing, your how you reuse information, how you follow business processes, how efficient and effective you are, and after going through that process has a good idea of where you are and what you need to do to improve.
Gotcha.
So that's essentially what a business coach does, if that helps.
Yes.
So the goal obviously is to work less. And if you're working 60 hours, you may not want to work 60 hours for the rest of your life. Probably make more money. Most of us are in business to make money. And we know that we're limited by ourselves, mostly by ourselves, and our behavior. And we also want to be a little less, and I say busy, is the notion of always running from A to B and not quite knowing what you're doing is not a very healthy or fun place to be. So a business coach can help you become more, I was going to say pedantic, but they can help you become more specific.
Okay.
Okay?
Excellent.
So I'm going to sit down again here.
Excellent.
Sir. Yep.
So, well, that's great. That's great. And I like the fact that you talked about someone who's working 60 hours a week, because I think maybe that's a myth that's out there for business owners, that they have to be putting in mega hours.
Right.
One of the things that I've seen talking to you is that it's about quality over quantity hours.
Right. And so actually my tagline is doubling the size of your business does not mean doubling your workload.
That's an excellent tagline.
And the reason that I picked that tagline is because most people that I know, and I think our generation, Mike, if you go back to our parents, really believed that hardworking was the best. And I always felt I had to be doing.
Gotcha.
Right? And the problem with always doing is you aren't necessarily planning or planning effective things. You'd rather be doing you'd rather be doing than sitting. A lot of times sitting down and actually planning is the better place to be, if that makes any sense.
Oh, it absolutely does.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, you're talking about quality over quantity hours.
Quality over quantity is a good thing. Yep.
So, tell me a little bit more about your business. You've talked about the basic philosophy of it. Talk to me a little bit more about some more of the specifics involved in it.
So my business, I actually am part of a larger franchise coaching organization called The Growth Coach. And the reason that I find them to be so useful for what I do is they implement a fairly easy to use business process.
Okay.
And which is called the strategic mindset process. And why it's appealing to me is anybody can learn how to run a small business. Having an MBA does not necessarily mean you're qualified to run a small business. There's this notion that if I have all the business acumen and the education, I'm going to be good at this. Well, you have
no, but that's a great point. That for a while it seemed like everyone was trying to get an MBA. Now you got a lot of MBAs, but it doesn't necessarily translate for you.
Right. So what if I told you that 2 of my clients have MBAs and they do not know how to run businesses? And what I mean by that is MBAs will teach you how to run a large or be part of a larger organization, but as a small business owner, whereas you take on all the hats, what do you have to barter with? Your time, right? Mm-hmm. And your decision making.
Absolutely.
So those are your only 2 variables, and if you don't have a notion of what you're supposed to be spending time on, you're going to be lost. So I started with the growth coach. I came out of high tech, so I have about 15 years of high tech management experience. And my skills and my talents are really around mentoring, guiding, and developing. And it could have something to do with the fact that I come from educators, but I needed to do something that combined my business understanding and my desire to help other people. So that's really where my coaching came in. So, and business coaching, again, I have to emphasize that people think business coaches are just these temporary roles you take between jobs. Mm-hmm. And good business coaches, and the ones that I strive to be like, are the ones that can really sit down with any small business owner and help them solve their problems and get to a place they want to be.
Well, the thing I'm picking up from talking to you here is it's far more than just coaching. It's almost a way of life in many ways.
So it is a way of life. Mm-hmm. And as a side note, Mike, you and I have had talked a lot about having passion in our businesses.
Correct.
And so what I usually end up finding when I sit down with somebody is they are desperate to do something and they don't know why. How does that sound?
Sounds intriguing is how it sounds. Sounds very intriguing.
The reason is back to our little analogy about what we learned as kids. Mm-hmm. The first thing we learned is to do something and make money and become good corporate citizens or mm-hmm. good working citizens, right?
Exactly.
A small business owner, most of the time, has passion but doesn't know how to make it work in their business.
Okay.
Right? So I can help them discover the passion and turn that passion into dollars. And that is the original reason they got into small business in the first place, oftentimes. So
is going ahead and combining the two, passion and it's the best of both worlds is really what it is.
If you get out of bed in the morning, mm-hmm. What place do you want to go? You naturally migrate to where you feel the best. What we've designed ourselves for is to be disciplined in areas we don't want to be disciplined. Hence, mm-hmm. we're going to a place we don't want to go. Why don't you learn to take all those desires and those talents and make money doing them? It's not a bad thing, right?
No, not at all.
So,
not at all.
Did I answer your question?
Absolutely, you did.
Okay, good.
Absolutely.
Good.
So, you want to tell me a little bit more about the services that are provided through business coaches, if you could, too?
Sure. So most of us think of a business coach as spending a direct time with a person mm-hmm. and back to the notion of just having a dialogue, right? Mm-hmm. What is your business like? Learning the variables. There are other ways. So I will work with the person directly. I will also work with them in capacities as in groups. I will take them into very much like your boss used to do as your own company. They would mm-hmm. go into these offsites and these management meetings. The reason they do it is they become these focused, non-distracted areas where you can really mull over and solve issues. Take you out of where you work to a place you can plan. That's what I call a business retreat. So coaches will do those types of things. They'll bring you together and they'll help you develop plans. There's also custom projects where I need you to do something with a team of mine, help my management team, mm-hmm. and that's what I really call a special project. So we have one-on-one coaching, mm-hmm. Group coaching, and special project coaching, and I do some sales workshops because most of us are salespeople. Actually, if you own a small business, you are a salesperson, and you'd be surprised at how many people start the conversation by telling me they're not a salesperson, and they are. Which means that there's a lot of upside if they learn how to actually sell their product.
Well, and that's interesting because you said being a salesperson or not being a salesperson. I would think that could be misconstrued very easily because really what being sales in sales and being a salesperson is all about, is making people feel like they're empowered by the information you give them.
So a salesperson is what? It's an educator.
Absolutely.
Right? So
it's empowering.
Exactly. So a good salesperson, which is what you would probably be if you're passionate about your business, is because you want to tell people about what you do, is a person who does exactly that, but pays attention to what they need and that finds a fit. Right? So
Absolutely.
Why are people so afraid of sales? Well, mostly because, like me, when I worked in my corporate area, I thought salespeople were sneaky. Well, unfortunately, salespeople they can be sneaky if they are focused on themselves and what they want to do. They can be less sneaky and do a good job and actually fit a product to what you need by paying a little attention and asking questions and educating you and finding out if there's a fit.
Absolutely.
Unfortunately, most of us don't do that.
No, they don't. They don't. And like you were saying, a plan is so important in business because it's so easy to get mired down in the minutiae of details. Where am I going long term with this?
Right.
What do I want to accomplish with this?
What if I told you my best clients are the smartest clients? And one of the reasons is that smart people that have learned, and I say a smart person who's educated and has learned to think, generally feels like they can solve their own problems, right? If you don't know how to solve your own problem, it's going to be very difficult to go out and ask for help. There's a pride element, there's I can figure this out on my own element. That could actually be the reason you're not succeeding, if that makes any sense.
Oh, it makes a lot of sense, and it sounds like what you do is you help, and what your line of work does, you help break down those barriers for people.
Right.
To kind of move them over, to gently guide them to a path where they need to be.
Yep. So to your earlier point, there are a lot of business coaches in Austin. There's a lot of business coaches in most large cities. Business coaches can act as your backseat COO, CFO advice giver, and that is what you're getting.
Okay.
Eric Schmidt of Google, and I like to use this reference. You can find this on YouTube if you go out there. Mentioned that the best decision he ever made in his career was to hire a coach.
Ah, okay.
He felt being asked to hire a coach was a dig on his performance. He actually requested this from the board of Google. What he discovered was he didn't think of all the questions to ask himself and verify the direction he was going. Another person outside of his perspective helped him see areas he was missing. So a coach, having a good one will help you regardless of where you find that person.
That's really interesting, because what it sounds like to me, it's sometimes it's hard to see the forest through the trees, and that's what the job of what the business coach is to pull back and to see things in the macro, to see things in the large scale, and help you focus.
And taking myself as an example, in my corporate career, I was completely tunnel vision.
Okay.
I had been trained to look at things a certain way. How do you make somebody question their own ability to solve problems, particularly when they can't solve problems? Well, again, I consider myself a competent technical person. I literally had to be questioned a lot to get out of my own short-sightedness. So we need that extra perspective, and that's really what it comes down to. Are you willing to go get help to get yourself farther ahead than you'd be able to do by yourself? How does that sound? I'm just coming up with this stuff here.
No, this is great. This is things that I know that I, as a business owner for many years, wasn't aware of.
Right.
And it's definitely being explained in a different light, and very, very helpful.
Yep.
Well, anything else you'd like to talk to our audience about today?
Well, so I'm actually on my campaign to evangelize business coaching.
Okay.
And the reason that I'm on my campaign is because I feel, and this is me, because I actually have a number of business coaches myself. I don't try to coach myself, correct? I look for that outside perspective.
That's very wise.
I actually feel that every small business owner could use a coach.
Probably
and
so.
There are not enough coaches in Austin to help those people. So I really don't have any competition other than finding a fit with my client. I suggest that you go out and look for somebody, look to find that outside perspective against your better judgment, because you're not going to want to do this normally.
No.
And you will actually pay for that person multiple times over. Whoever you pick, you will pay for that person multiple times over if you go find a coach. Your business will do better, you'll hire the right people, you'll be a better manager, you'll work less hours, and you'll make more money.
That's the best of all worlds.
And it doesn't matter who you pick, you don't even have to pick me.
Ah.
So, good.
Well, very interesting.
Yeah. So that's my spiel, and I'm sticking to it.
Well, excellent, excellent. Well, I want to thank our guest, Dag Nybo, the growth coach. And again, this has been Austin Star Money Business and You. Any questions about today's show, you can reach us at 512-923-1273, or we can be contacted at www.austinstarinsurance.com. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Mike.